It's a cool, wet, but not windy Saturday morning, and I thought I would rattle and ramble on about a variety of things, not necessarily of any consequence, but hey, it's a great way to fill a few minutes of a Saturday morning, and if you find it entertaining, that's great. If you don't, well, that's just a little bit too bad, I would think. I've got my espresso coffee there, so I'm quite happy about that. And let's start by commenting on this bottle of Galway port, Grand Tawny, aged 12 years. Every now and again I do like a port. Not too frequently, maybe once a week, once a fortnight, I'll have a small glass, which is quite appealing and quite a delicious departure from all the coffee and the sparkling water, perhaps one could say. So that's that. Now, I don't know if you do much reading, you guys, but this is what I've started to read at the moment. One of Simon Winchester's books, I'll put it there so that you can see it sort of a little clearly. The Breath of the Gods, the history and future of the wind, which on the face of it you might think, what a terribly boring subject. How could someone write a book of, let's have a look, how many pages is this, nearly 400 pages. How could someone in their right mind, or even not in their right mind, produce something as long-winded as 400 pages on the subject of the wind? But in actual fact, if you know anything about Simon Winchester, he does produce books of immense appeal. They are captivating, they're scintillating, they are riveting to read. Once you open a Simon Winchester book, there's a very good chance that you will binge read it, in the sense that you won't want to put it down until you've finished. These days, of course, books, I don't know, I think there's a bit of a checkered history there going on. And with the older generation, I'm sure quite a few still read books, notwithstanding the onset of failing eyesight and things like that. We do have audio books. But I don't know, I think people, they like the short and sharp podcasts, and they want sound bites of information rather than delving in great detail into stories and tales that run for hundreds of pages. There's something special about being able to sit down with a book, though, and in front of the fire in winter, or even in summer, down at the beach, under an umbrella, and with a hat on, of course. This is my collapsible travel hat, which I bought on the Sunshine Coast in Australia approximately a year ago, and I bought it simply because if you want a hat to protect you from the sun, I mean, this is not a wide-brimmed hat, of course, but if you want something to protect you from the sun, you need something that you can carry around that doesn't get damaged when you pack it away to jump on a flight or whatever. And I found this one in a pharmacy or a chemist shop in Mooloolaba, and I think it was about 58 or 60 Australian dollars. But what an absolutely excellent hat, because you can just push it down flat and it will bounce back into shape when you take it out. And I know there are lots of hats like that. And a lot of people do wear caps, of course, and I wear caps occasionally, but I'm not a big fan. I prefer something like this, and I do, as you know, looking at my my broadcasts over the last year or so, that I do have a reasonable collection of hats. Probably numbering at the moment 15, which is not, well, it's barely a collection, isn't it? It's nothing like Imelda Marcus's collection of shoes, for instance. But to me, it's a small collection, and it gives me the ability to fashion up, I suppose. And being an older individual, an old man, you might say, a decrepit old man almost, there are a few things that you can do to tart yourself up. You can wear a watch, I suppose. This is a very modern sort of smart watch which does all sorts of things. Tells me when to go to the toilet. No, it doesn't actually. It measures blood pressure and the number of steps I take and my heartbeat and things like that. Not that I pay a great deal of attention to a lot of that, but the most appealing feature of this, well, there are two actually. There's the steps, so that I can monitor how many steps I do each day, and secondly, the amount of sleep, good quality sleep that I get each night. So I can wake up each morning and have a look. For instance, if I have a look at last night, I got 6 hours and 26 minutes sleep, which you might argue is not enough for a man of my vintage. But I do strive for the proverbial 8 hours, and many of us do manage to get that. I manage to get it 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. There are times when it's down to 5 hours, but I think averaged out, if you are achieving close to 8 hours, you can sustain a hit with a 4 or 5 hour sleep once in a while, and it doesn't affect you detrimentally. In fact, if you are getting good sleep and you happen to be going out on the town or night clubbing, as I do every second day, ha ha ha, then you suffer no deleterious effects the next morning from having a few wines and staying up very late and denying yourself that wonderful sleep that we all crave. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said for sleep, and I'm sure Simon Winchester may have written a book about it. If he hasn't, someone else will have. In any case, what's next? Well, I don't know. What shall I've written a few things down here, but I'm not going to stick to that, except to say, don't we all get stuck in a rut sometimes? Isn't life a bit like that? Because we like routines. Many of us will get up at the same time each day. We are actually bound by routine, because we get up and we know we have to shower. We know we have to clean our teeth. We know we have to do other ablutions, which we won't go into detail here. But it's a human thing that we all do every day. So, like it or not, those are things that dictate our daily routine. And of course, there is the argument that there are people who don't shower every day. Some shower once a week by choice. Some not by choice, of course. But so that's one of the routines. And then there are people who like to eat breakfast every morning. There are those who don't. I tend not to eat breakfast, but if I'm travelling, if I'm away, I'm out and about and staying at a hotel or somewhere that has a really sort of extensive buffet breakfast, I'll get stuck into it. I want those eggs. I want those sausages, tomatoes, hash browns, baked beans even, bacon. I'll go for it, even though these are things that I would not normally have of a morning here at home. So that's a bit of a treat for me. Oh, that went down just about the wrong way. And then, of course, there's the intermittent fasting thing that I think has captured the hearts and minds of people of all ages, all age groups, and across the social sectors. Intermittent fasting, I'm a firm believer in that, And I do think that intermittent fasting is good for the body because it gives the body a chance to crave food and sort of heal itself. We're in a world at the moment where we stuff our faces all the time. Everywhere you go to a meeting at a cafe or something, and people expect you to order a coffee or a tea or something, and there's always snacks or foods involved, and then you meet someone for lunch and there's more food. You visit someone at their house and they're offering you something to eat. It's like we're obsessed with food and eating, and yet we don't balance that with exercise on the other side of the ledger. We tend to just keep eating and eating and eating, and this is probably uh, an enormous contributor to the obesity epidemic that we're seeing in the Western world. And I am not one who has escaped being a victim of that epidemic. I don't have enough self control to stop myself from indulging. And although I am an advocate and an actual participant in the um, uh, intermittent fasting thing, uh, it's very difficult to practice what you preach sometimes. And I do the very best I can, but I succumb to those wonderful aromas, those beautiful flavours, those exotically arranged dishes that we are constantly presented with online and in person and pictorially. If you go into a cafe or a restaurant, sometimes they will have, particularly Oriental restaurants, and you may or may not know that I've spent a lot of time in China in my life, and so I'm a sucker for Chinese food. I absolutely love it above just about everything else. And the mere mention, if I'm travelling somewhere and there is a recommendation for a good Chinese restaurant, I will be there. Make no mistake about that. It's a wonderful thing. It's an exciting thing. It's one of the joys of life to enjoy Chinese food. And it's interesting because China is such an ancient culture, and obviously, billions of people, billions and billions of Chinese have lived over the centuries. And, there's 1.5 billion people there now, but over the centuries, they've perfected the art of producing incredible food from basic staples and ingredients. China has not been particularly wealthy as it is at the moment over the centuries. It's had extreme hardship, and people have been subjected to horrific conditions um, under various regimes and under various emperors and empresses over the years. So I think they've adapted. They've managed to extract the very best out of the most basic foods. And I think of Yunnan province in the deep southwest of China, which is mushroom heaven, fungi heaven, if you want to put it that way. The hundreds of different varieties of mushrooms that come out of Yunnan province, not uniquely Yunnan, I mean other parts of China do too, but Yunnan is known for its absolutely magnificent mushrooms. And I can tell you there are mushroom focused restaurants in China. And if you're ever there and roaming about, make sure you go off the beaten track and experience some of those incredible fungi. They are supremely delicious, and the Chinese do know how to prepare and present food in its finest form. So make no mistake, it's not all about fried rice and chop suey and chow mein. You know, those Western, the chow mein and the chop suey, Western sort of iterations of these foods. But go for something a little different. There are very exotic foods available in China. They don't always appeal to the Western palate, but sometimes you have to step off the path, step off the beaten path, and try something completely different and new, and see what impact that has on you and how you feel about food in general. So, I don't know, look, we're at 15 minutes now. This is probably the longest broadcast that I've done in over a year, and the few of you who have stayed the course and are still listening, I commend you immensely, and am forever grateful that you consider listening to whatever dribble I'm sort of spitting out on any given day. But I'm sure there are one or two little pearls of wisdom in there. There are one or two interesting things that you might find appealing, and do feel free to comment. And of course, I'm always looking to increase the number of subscribers. I don't promote this YouTube channel. That's why there are a minimal number of subscribers. I haven't gone right out there and connected with Facebook or Instagram or anything like that. So it's a very intimate, small circle of people who are able to see and hear what I'm doing. And clearly, I'm not rude or crude or vicious or sort of, I don't know, deranged enough to see subscriber numbers run into the thousands. And I think maybe that is the answer for many to increase their followers or subscribers by descending into filth and depravity and foul language and extremely controversial subjects with an extreme point of view. And whilst I do have points of view on absolutely everything, and some of them will not align with yours, I've always tried to be reasonably civil. There's the odd foul word that I throw in, and the odd thing that is likely to offend you. But hey, that's fair enough, isn't it? Well, listen, take care, and until next time.